Hello, and welcome to a lecture for the 17th Annual Kościuszko Chair Conference. This year's virtual conference and speakers will focus on the topic of Threats and Opportunities in the Intermarium, an update. For those who are new, IWP is a graduate school of national security, intelligence, and international affairs. We offer a doctoral program, 7 master's degree programs, including 2 online MAs, and 18 certificates of graduate study. If you're interested in learning more about us, please feel free to visit us at iwp.edu. On behalf of IWP, I'd like to thank all of our supporters who make IWP events possible. Today, we'll be hearing from Filip Styczynski, who will be speaking on the topic of current challenges in German-Polish relations. Filip Styczynski is a media manager, journalist, and international affairs analyst. He was associated for many years with the Polish public television, TVP. He is a recipient of the Special Award of the Polish Journalists Association, the Polish equivalent of the American Pulitzer Prize. He also received a Certificate of Appreciation from the Center of Strategic Communication and Information Security of Ukraine for his active fight against Russian disinformation. He was the founder and editor-in-chief of the first English-language news channel in the CEE region, TVP World. He is currently the Director of Operations at the Center for Intermarium Studies at the Institute of World Politics in Washington, D.C. Welcome, Filip Styczynski.
Thank you, Noel, for this kind introduction, and welcome. My lecture will focus on the most current Polish-German relations and their background. On December 13, it will be 1 year since the government of Civic Platform and Donald Tusk was sworn in Poland. From the beginning, the new government has pursued a more conciliatory and dialogue-oriented policy toward Germany than the previous law and justice government, whose policy toward its Western neighbor was marked by ambitious competition and often offensive rhetoric. The biggest mark on Polish-German relations in recent years was the demand for war reparations from Germany. As the previous government argued, the losses inflicted on Poland by Germany during World War II were never restored. In fact, Poland was not only not included in the Marshall Plan due to being under Soviet occupation at the time, but also did not receive reparations from Germany after the collapse of communism and the Soviet Union. A report prepared by the specially established War Losses Institute calculated that Germany owes Poland more than 1.5 trillion US dollars as a result of the irretrievable loss of intellectual, cultural, and economic potential. Interestingly, the Civic Platform led by Donald Tusk, which was still in the opposition at the time, also voted in favor of the resolution calling on the German government to pay compensation to Poland. This may have come as a surprise to some, but it was also Donald Tusk who said in 2004, "All responsibility for the material consequences of the Second World War in Polish-German relations lies with Germany. Germany has always been responsible for them and should continue to bear this responsibility." End of quote. But he continued, "If in conversations with German politicians, I hear more and more often, and you have probably heard it too, that the time for a new Germany, the time for German repentance is over, then I would like the Poles to say loudly on the occasion of this resolution that the time for repentance for such a guilt as Germany suffered during the Second World War is over, and the time for repentance in such a matter never ends. That if any leader of German public opinion comes to us, to Poland, and makes even the noblest gesture of kneeling before our monuments to our national tragedy." End of quote. These were parts of Donald Tusk's speech when he voted in favor of Poland's claim for war reparations. However, it doesn't affect his current policy, as the reparations issue is not being pursued, but it does illustrate the long-standing cross-party position regarding Germany's historical responsibility for crimes committed against Poland, while agreeing on the legal status of the issue. This may be due to the fact that, according to polls, the majority of Poles supports Poland's demands for reparations. That includes the voters of Civic Platform and Donald Tusk. How has Polish policy on this issue changed since December 13 last year? On July 2nd, German Chancellor Olaf Scholz came to Warsaw and held intergovernmental consultations. At a press conference, the Chancellor announced the federal cabinet's decision to establish a memorial to the Polish victims of the Second World War and the Nazi occupation in Berlin. The Polish-German House, he said, would be a visible sign against forgetting and warning for the future. And then Donald Tusk replied, "There are no such gestures that would satisfy the Poles, and no such sum of money that would compensate for what happened during the Second World War," Tusk said during the same press conference. According to the Polish-language German news website on it, based on sources in Berlin, Germany was ready to announce the allocation of 200 million euros to compensate the still living victims of World War II. Tusk, to the surprise of the German side, did not accept this proposal. The Polish side considered the amount to be too low in comparison with the monthly payments to Israeli citizens. At the end of the conference, the Polish Prime Minister said that the Polish government would not continue the policy of the previous government in a spirit of confrontation, but in a spirit of mutual understanding. In Poland, these words were seen as a retreat from the demand for reparations. What are the other hotspots in Polish-German relations? And is Donald Tusk's government really more submissive to Germany than its predecessors? There has been a lot of discussion in Poland recently about the new appointment of the head of the Pilecki Institute. The Captain Pilecki Institute of Solidarity and Courage in is a Polish institution dedicated to researching and commemorating the victims of Nazi and communist totalitarianism. The patron of the institute is Witold Pilecki, a Polish hero who voluntarily became a prisoner in Auschwitz during the German occupation in order to document German crimes and pass information about them to the Allies. After his spectacular escape from the German death camp, Pilecki continued his fight against the Nazis. He fought in the Warsaw Uprising, and after the Soviets invaded Poland, he continued his conspiracy, for which he was imprisoned by the communists and later executed. His words about the torture used by the communists, "Auschwitz was a playground compared to it," have gone down in history. The institute, named after him, was a flourishing institution that was dedicated, among other things, to the memory of Poles who saved Jews, but also to their remembrance of German crimes. As we can read in its stated, the purpose of its activity is to initiate, conduct, and support activities aimed at commemorating and honoring living, deceased, or murdered persons of merit to the Polish nation at home and abroad, in the work of preserving the memory or providing assistance to persons of Polish nationality or Polish citizens of other nationalities who were victims of Soviet crimes, Nazi German crimes, crimes motivated by nationalist motives, or other crimes constituting crimes against peace, crimes against humanity, or war crimes in the period from November 8, 1917 to July 31, 1990. As of 2019, the first foreign branch of the Institute is operating in Berlin. After the dismissal of the Institute's director, there were voices saying that it was done for political reasons. How it really was, we do not know, but some light is shed on the matter by the profile of the new director, who is Mr. Krzysztof Ruchniewicz, who until recently headed the Willy Brandt Center for German and European Studies. In Poland, he was known mainly for his opposition to the idea of paying reparations to Poland. As we can see in his dossier, in the past, he was also repeatedly awarded by the Germans. Among the honors he received are the Cross of Merit on ribbon of the Order of Merit of the Federal Republic of Germany, medal on the occasion of the 30th anniversary of the Peaceful Revolution and German reunification, the Viadrina Prize of the European Viadrina University in Frankfurt Order. In addition, he has served on 18 German foundations and scientific councils. This is quite unusual for a nominee of a state institution in Poland. Following the appointment, the hashtag Instytut Pileckiego BND began trending on Polish X, suggesting the new director ties to the German intelligence service BND. Another pair of issues affecting Polish-German relations are large infrastructure investments in Poland. The largest of these, which was cancelled after the Civic Platform came to power, is the Central Transportation Port, or the Central Transportation Hub, CPK, which was to be a gigaport connecting the region's largest airport with the railroad, as well as a strategic transportation hub for NATO in the event the troops needed to be moved to the alliance's eastern flank. The Civic Platform opposed its construction from the beginning. Rafał Trzaskowski, the Civic Platform mayor of Warsaw, commented on the Law and Justice Party's idea. We have the gigantomania of Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki, who is proposing an airport in the middle of nowhere. Berlin succeeded after years, and we will have an airport that will be difficult to compete with. End of quote. Interestingly, it has recently emerged that a similar project is to be built in Frankfurt, Germany, which will reduce the chances of success of building something similar in Poland in the future. In addition, other infrastructure projects affecting German interests, such as the construction of a container port in Świnoujście, have slowed down considerably. Świnoujście is a city on the western shore of the Baltic Sea, on the German-Polish border. Representatives of the German container port in Hamburg have already spoken out against the construction of this port. The list of similar issues commented on in the German context in Poland is long. The commitment to support Ukraine and NATO's eastern flank is also a controversial issue. In the first phase of Russian full-scale aggression against Ukraine in 2022, when Poland handed over tanks to Ukraine, the Germans responded to appeals to supply weapons to Ukraine with a willingness to hand over 2,000 helmets. And when it comes to NATO, Poland currently pays more than 4% of its GDP for its defense, which puts it in the first place in the entire alliance, while Germany has a problem which has been repeatedly raised by Donald Trump with paying the 2%. In addition, trust in Germany is affected by its dependence on Russian gas. The construction of the Nord Stream and Nord Stream 2 gas pipelines and its reluctance to diversify its sources. However, in the complicated of mutual relations, there are also manifestations of independent criticism within Germany. On November 7th, a celebration of the 35th anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall was held in the German presidential palace. One of the guest speakers was German writer Marco Martin. He dedicated his speech to the Polish Solidarność, solidarity movement, attributing to it the main contribution to the fall of the Berlin Wall. At the same time, he objected to the Gorbachev legend, which is eagerly repeated by German elites. Finally, the author addressed his speech directly to the host of the event, President Steinmeier. He recalled his and Gerhard Schroeder policy full of concessions to Russia, supporting the construction of Nord Stream 2 and criticizing NATO maneuvers in the eastern flank. Marco Martin said that such policies were supported by both CDU and SPD, completely ignoring the warnings coming from Poland and Eastern Europe. Unfortunately, the transcript of the speech was hidden on the official channel. The future of Polish-German relations may be influenced by the policies of Donald Trump, who has supported a balance in Central European relations by supporting the diversification of energy sources in the region and the development of the Free Seas Initiative, in which Poland plays a central role. The second variable is the attitude of the Germans themselves, not only towards Poland, but also towards the USA, depending on whether they want to build their further development on the basis of post-Bismarck policy or a transatlantic alliance. That's all from me today, and thank you for watching and listening. Goodbye.